To survive in the Dales requires sacrifice. This is something I've known for many years now. To try and protect the town of Easthaven is not easy, but it is my responsibility as the leader of the militia, especially during these dark times. Order has to be kept somehow. It might seem harsh to some, but if it keeps the town going, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if others aren't. Roman has disagreed with me on some of the things I've done lately, and it's possible that he's not wrong. But what he fails to understand is that right now we have little choice. For example, the wizard we burned, Dazan. Now, he admitted to me that he led the guides we gave him to their deaths. He didn't feel guilty about it at all. I felt his only regret was getting caught. So what was I supposed to do? Let such a man go? Keep a wizard in our little dungeon for who knows how long? No, a choice had to be made by someone, and that someone was me. A message had to be given that no one can get away with such things in Easthaven. I do not regret what I've done to keep Easthaven safe. Unlike Roman, I don't regret the sacrifices we've had to make. Honestly, my only real worry is that even after we've done all this, it's still not enough. I can only hope Easthaven is able to endure all this misery. Otherwise, it really will have all been for nothing, won't it? This is Red Moon Roleplaying. In a great Duergar fortress, deep underground, a duel has begun in a throne room. Your foe, Roman and Roshik, one moment was towering before you, and then vanished into nothing. But you know that a battle has begun, so please roll initiative.
11. 16.
Roman, it is your turn. What do? A very large being has just vanished before your eyes. You can probably guess why that has occurred. What are you going to do? All around you are other Duergar, but they are all still standing to attention just watching in this large throne room. You have quite a lot of open space around you, at least 30 by 30 feet, for the most part, at least. And for the moment, you feel nothing is going to be attacking you other than this one foe. You do see that individual who you think was another son. You don't think you got the name of that son. That's who he was shouting at when you came in. He's sort of starting to look around, looking a little confused, stepping off to the side. What do?
I move back a little bit. I've drawn my mace, of course, and I have my shields ready, and I'm trying to listen, trying to hear. Where is this thing? It is big. It must still be right around here. I don't think I can cast any spells, given that I cannot see it, right?
Not targeting the individual, no. You can, of course, cast spells that do not require a target.
I shall take this opportunity to cast Bless upon myself and upon Roshik, trying to ready ourselves for this fight, asking for Lathander to protect us. And this means that whenever you make an attack roll or a saving throw, you can add a d4 and add that number to the roll.
It certainly does. You begin to shine with the holy light of Lathander, and by moving back a little, you're still just about within range of Roshik for this spell to affect him as well. He now also glows ever so slightly. You move and you cast your spell, and just as you finish moving, your ears think you can pick up something from behind you. But unfortunately, your turn has ended. Roshik, it is your turn. What do?
I see my old friend, and I see how he's somehow casting something. It distracts me for a short second, and I notice that there's something different about the way he does things now. There's something that goes along with the lines of how he carries himself now. He has changed. But I have no time to think about that. Did I perceive any sort of sound myself?
No, not yet.
Well, my first thought will be I better be ready for this. So, wanting something as well to target with an attack, I hold my hands together and I conjure something that would be in line with the longsword that I used to wield, but somehow me twisting my hands together and grabbing a hold of it even closer, creating my packed weapon, turns it into a longer one, a great sword. And I whirl about as this forms, trying to see, trying to hear.
And so you use your actions to get your weapon ready. As you move around, do you move in any particular direction? You are now a little far away from Roman, because he moved back. So you could join him and be at his side, or you could move somewhere else in the room.
Well, last time we were standing side to side. Fireballs were flung at us, and I had a shield ready. But it's still something, feeling the blessing from him, and feeling my own, somehow, insecurity. I haven't been fighting for real in a long time. Makes me draw myself towards him, assuming a back-to-back position if he would connect with that.
Very good. You quickly move to try and get to his back, and you're able to briefly be side by side. But unfortunately, it wasn't quite quick enough for when Roman heard something. For suddenly, much like happened to you once a very long time ago, Roman, you feel the concept of something you cannot see about to strike you very hard. Much like once long ago, when you feel that feeling, you try and just do what you did. Move without seeing. And you do so, but then, while you feel you're able to avoid one attack, as a being appears straight in front of you, your concentration is thrown off by the sudden appearance, as a great spiked gauntlet smacks you hard in the face. Please take 8 damage.
I grunt and I'm thrown back, but at least I know where it is now. Does it reveal itself when it attacks, or is it still invisible?
No, it has revealed itself fully. A great, large Duergar king before you. It is your go. Roman, what do you do?
There you are, I say, and I lift up my hand, calling upon the powers that Lathander have given me, and I cast Guiding Bolt on level 4.
Wonderful. You summon your Guiding Bolt. Roll your attack.
That is 25.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
32 radiant damage.
You unleash a massive guiding bolt. The energy that suddenly is summoned to your fingertips is incredible as you blast point-blank range at the king. He staggers back, letting out a roar of anger as blood begins to trickle from his mouth at this sudden onslaught. What do you do next?
I move towards Roshik, trying to get close to him so that we can meet this foe together. But I feel good. I feel jubilant. I feel we can take this king. Together he is nothing for us. He's nothing for the power of Lathander.
Then as your turn comes to an end, you just see the king glare at you for a moment before yelling out, "How dare you strike me!" Please roll a dexterity saving throw with a d4.
It is a 13.
Suddenly, you feel this great heat come across your face and body as hellish fire rakes you from somewhere. It must come from him, but it almost seems like it comes from the ground itself. You take 16 fire damage from his hellish rebuke.
Ah! And I scream, but I remain committed, and I again smirk at him.
Roshik, your foe is before you. He has attacked Roman, but Roman has very successfully counterattacked him back. But he is still standing. And now your friend is covered in hellish flames. But what do you do?
I see the king first stumble, scream, and I see the glitter around him. Oh, that was a good hit. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna finish him right now. And I run at him, screaming, I charge in, and I'm gonna strike him with my great sword that I have conjured forth.
Very well. Roll your attack.
I roll 26.
You charge forward with your great sword at the ready. It is not as weighty as it used to be. After all, this is a blade made of magic, not metal. But still, in a way, maybe that helps, as your blade dances back and forth. Please roll the damage for your first attack.
10.
And then roll your second attack.
It's as if I'm not sure how this weapon swings itself, but it feels like I'm pulled around, and I swing around for another strike. 18.
You strike again, roll damage.
14.
And again you strike deep into the flank of this being. In a way, his size does make him slightly easier to hit, it seems, even if his strikes do seem as if they would be quite painful, as Roman has discovered. Once again, you feel a strange bubbling come from the earth as another beam of hellfire comes from the ground. Please roll a dexterity saving throw.
20.
You just manage to sidestep out of the way, but the heat is intense. You take 8 fire damage.
I get out of the way barely, and I feel its heat crawling up my leg, igniting not my furs, but it feels like it's going straight for my flesh inside of my armor.
The king glares at you, his eyes darting left and right for a moment as he yells, "Duergar! The duel is over! Kill them! Kill them all!" And a great bolt of energy begins to build up in that gauntlet. He does not strike you, Roshik, but instead fires a great beam of purple energy, eldritch energy, in your direction. The beam of energy splits in two just before it reaches you, striking them both from the left and right. You're hit twice. Take 9 damage, and then 9 damage again of force energy.
I feel like I'm being held together in a fiery vice, and I try to flail to the sides as if to cut myself free, and I hold up my hands, calling forth a hellish rebuke towards this big king.
This being is too heavily wounded, and too surprised at your sudden power. Very similar in a way. You think to yourself how interesting that is. What could that mean, as he then is engulfed in flame? How much damage does he take?
He takes 24 damage.
Your fire burns bright. Not necessarily a fire from hell, though. There is almost an additional element to your fire, isn't there? It's almost more blue, in a way. The king is clearly surprised before falling to the ground, his flesh burning. He falls. There is a moment of stunned silence at the sudden outburst of your spell to his spell. Roman, it is your turn. You see all the individuals in the room reaching for their weapons, but there is a little moment of hesitation. What do you do?
I use this opportunity to hold up my holy symbol and channel divinity to preserve life. And I ask for Lathander to heal mine and Roshik's wounds. And I shall divide up 35 hit points. I will give myself 24 and then 11 to Roshik.
And your wounds begin to close and they begin to heal. Roshik, what do you do? Your wounds are healing. The king before you is slowly regressing to a smaller size, burning. And yet, can you still see an element of life? What do you do?
I look around I see the Duergar unsurely grasping at their weapons, and I bellow out, "Well, it seems I was right. Seems that this here is our victory. Perhaps there is someone else who believes they have the power to rule this place. Someone who would reconsider the actions of the now fallen Zardrok."
Yes, someone more worthy of being a leader of your proud people.
Roman, you notice that there is movement. The being on the ground has turned himself over, bleeding heavily and burning, but he is still alive as he crawls towards you with that spiky black crystal gauntlet on his hand.
You would not have. It's mine. I deserve it. It's mine.
I look at him curiously. Is he dead now?
I mean, surely in a few minutes, but he seems to still be alive as he's crawling to you very slowly on the ground.
Let me end your suffering. Rest now in the light, I say, and I hold out my hand and I cast another guiding bolt to end his life.
As you are doing that and the energy gathers, you do notice out the corner of your eye something is moving very quickly towards the body. Do you still cast your spell?
No, he's not a direct threat, so I hold off, waiting to see what it is. I do not wish to get in the way of this, well, power struggle or whoever will now take over. Perhaps it is best for them to end the king in order to consolidate their power. So I wait.
A second is all it takes of waiting to see the Duergar you saw earlier, the one being scolded, jump onto his father, and with a knife begin stabbing again and again and again into his back. The king never takes his eyes off you, though, Roman. You're pretty sure his last words he gurgles once more.
It is mine. I deserve.
And then he says no more. The being above him says,
All hail your new king! King Nilda! Nilda Sunblight! All kneel before your new king!
Truly, is there none more worthy? I speak up again, hoping to call the attention of Grandolpha Muskrat. Is she here?
Well, you can't see her at this moment in time, but you do see this individual glare at you and point his dagger.
Silence! God, slay these intruders who attacked my father.
And at that point, you do hear some doors opening from behind you.
And who is it?
It is Grandolpha, coming forward with 5 or 7 Duergar flanking her on both sides. Oh dear, I see that even the sun didn't survive.
It is a pity, isn't it?
Yes, she clicks her fingers. But then, when she does so, you notice that the figure has vanished. He's disappeared.
I look between the two, back and forth. He was right there. I just mumble to myself.
Yes, don't worry about it. You can all begin. You start seeing, or rather hearing, the sounds of quite a bit of commotion happening outside, maybe near those forges, the sounds of battle. You see some of the guardsmen in this area look very concerned, looking at you, looking at Grandolpha. She begins walking forwards to the throne. Hear me. This is now the domain of Muskrat. You are all mine. All who swear fealty immediately will be welcome. All who don't will die. Do you swear fealty? And most of them slowly get to a knee and begin to bow. You see one in the corner, Roshik, just sort of make a dart for the exit. He tries to get through some of the guards at the front, but he is cut down. And you know that outside there's probably a lot of battle occurring in various locations.
I observe the spectacle, and I look down at this king and this gauntleted hand. It looks strange. Is this the material of which they spoke?
And seeing that your attention is on the gauntlet, I recognize this material as being Charlton, yes?
Yes.
Roshik, best not touch that. It is quite dangerous. Me and Kalliana, we had to protect the village from, well, the one that's located there. Very strong magics.
It drove him mad, didn't it?
It did. If anything, it feeds on people's darkest impulses, on their most evil thoughts. It enhances them, and it corrupts them completely, making them like this king. Not that I'm sure that he wasn't necessarily the nicest person before this, but, well, it certainly has made things worse.
I look up to the Queen, or Grandolpha, as she takes her place and takes the vows.
You notice that she doesn't actually go to sit on the throne. She stops, in fact. The throne is made of charlton. She frowns and sort of gestures to 2 or 3 nearby guard Duergar. First of all, can we please be moving that out of here? All of it. I want it all put in the forges and melted. It is, as the priest says, disruptive of the mind. Get rid of it.
Sounds clever. So, what about the beast? Can it be called back now?
Oh my, no. She sort of chuckles a little at you, before again making a few more gestures. You feel, Roshik, you know how this works. The calmness of these Duergar implies that there is no doubt that they are winning the battle outside. It must simply be a case of mopping up the few people who perhaps still are loyal to the old king.
But if there's no way of stopping it, then we cannot linger here. We must save Easthaven. We cannot allow that being to destroy everyone that we love. Are we free to go now?
Well, I mean, of course, but don't you want a reward of some kind? I mean, you know nothing of what's going to happen. I'm willing to let you... Oh, let's see. Yes, I suppose some guards can accompany you upstairs. You can look at his chambers. Pick the carcass clean, if you will.
We had a deal. You would call the thing back, wouldn't you?
I never said I would call it back, my dear warrior. Or is it more a warlock? I said I'd call our people back, and I will. You found... what was it? We found 1 camp and a small raiding party. I believe we had 4 or 5 more. They were all ready to strike in a matter of hours, but don't worry, we have sending stones. Commander? A Duergar. The Duergar you recognize from the very front of the building, who let you in, comes forward. All units are to return to the fortress. There will be no pillaging and conquest today. I know, disappointing, but it is a waste. You see the commander kind of grumble a little, but nod, saying, "As you will it, my queen. All our troops will begin returning to the fortress." Grandolpha smirks as someone quickly brings a more traditional wooden chair into the area, which she then sits in, sort of fanning herself a little with her hand. You see, I keep my word.
Well then, perhaps we can have a quick look. Perhaps there is something that can help us to stop this being in there. I know not, but then we must go. And I hope that this will be an end to the conflict between our peoples. I would pray and hope that we could trade, we could become partners, but I foresee that will not be the case. Just know that we are open to that. We always will be.
Wonderful. I'll keep it in mind if I'm really in the mood for dealing with a few farm shacks and some pig farmers. So you know, once you leave, I'm going to order them to start sealing the above entrances. We're not going to need them anymore. Our place is below. So if you ever come again, bring an army. Next time, you won't get so lucky to just be let in.
Oh, don't worry, we won't be back. Well, let's see these quarters then.
As they are talking, it is not until then that I let the blade shimmer from its purplish glow into a green and then a darker shade, and it vanishes into the air. I look down at the fallen king and I look him over besides the gauntlet, and I see if there's anything worth taking off of him.
You strive towards him. There's that great gauntlet, his crown, but that's also made of this material. Doesn't really seem to have anything else on him, really. Again, you're a little hesitant touching him, because according to Roman, that was dangerous. But there is something that you then feel. This feels very familiar, doesn't it? You were lying down, weren't you?
I was.
How does that make you feel? You, for a moment, consider how lucky you were. His loyal guards would have cut you to ribbons if they joined in. Hell, you wouldn't even have got this far if not for deception and trickery.
I see him there as I roll him over. I could almost see him lying in sick bed, weakened, stubborn, and I flex my arms. I feel where the healing has tingled and made me more whole. But even so, even with the wounds, it's nothing like it was lying in that infernal bed. Do I feel anything, though, from this gauntlet? I am curious about it, I won't deny it, but...
It is rather wonderful looking. Surely it's not so bad. Maybe if you just take it with you and wear it, it could be quite fun. It is a beautiful sheen. You don't know what Roman's talking about. Dangerous? How could this be dangerous?
I mean, they were keeping one for themselves in the village anyway. That's what they said. That's what was stolen. I mean, if they want to keep one, why can't maybe I could keep one too. I'll try and wrestle it off his hand.
You begin trying to remove it. It's coming off quite easily. Roman, you notice behind you Roshik trying to pry off this wonderful Chardlin gauntlet off the king.
No, Roshik, no, please, don't touch it.
Come now, it can't be that bad.
It is, trust me, it is really, really bad. It will destroy you.
I give a sigh. It's a shame. It looks nice. I mean, could at least sell it.
That is its power. It will convince you of that, and then it will suck all the life out of you, leaving you a husk like this king. You don't want that, do you?
I've been enough of a husk the past however many years I was in that bed.
But you don't have to be anymore. You're born again, born anew. You have a new life here, away from the mists and the darkness. Well, it is dark here too, but you know what I mean.
Fine. I shrug and I let it drop to the floor.
That's good.
It drops easily. On one hand, it is a lovely item, but on another hand, you think to yourself it is just a gauntlet. It's not like it would be that much use to you.
Where do we go then? Where are these quarters of his?
The commander begins stepping forward.
If there is nothing more you wish from the Queen, I will guide you.
We are done, I think. I nod to her. Well, we shall be taking our leave then after stopping by the quarters. I hope we don't see each other again, I suppose. Take good care of your people.
On the contrary, I wouldn't mind you amusing me again. But yes, Let it be known I am a woman of my word when I swear to deep Duergar, anyway. You are rewarded with your lives and some spoils of war. If you ever come again, we will end you. Thank you for being a useful tool.
Glad we could be of use.
I do give a bow as that.
And she begins directing Duergar, who are running back and forth with quite a bit of excitement. The commander begins leading you out, once again through those great doors, back to that strange lift-like device. As you pass once again over that bridge, there's so much darkness and smog that you can't really see what's going on, but you do feel keenly aware that violence has occurred. You think you can see Roshik, a few people being rounded up in a corner, making a last stand. Perhaps not every Duergar was immediately willing to betray their king at the drop of a hat. Perhaps that speaks of the truth of the Duergar, from what you've been told. But most, it seems, have no chance. The Queen will be ruling quite strongly from here, you feel.
I whisper to Roman, we were lucky. If this hadn't been already going on, if they were standing strong with this one, I don't know what all those crossbows pointed at us would have done.
Don't worry, Lathander will protect us, as he has thus far. Come now, we must seek out these quarters and see whatever we can find. And then we must rush back to East Haven. That thing, it's still heading there.
Of course. I feel the tingle of his blessing slowly starting to wear off. You seem to have found new conviction somehow, friend.
Lathander is here. He is not far away anymore. And I think I have begun atoning for my sins in Barovia. But come now, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, well, we go along in the corridor as we talk about this.
The commander eventually leads you once again into that lift, and you begin slowly being taken up once more by one of those strange Duergar in the horrific torture suits. You are led then to the floor you remember from before, past the dining room. Again, everything is dark, everything is grimy and sooty. The sounds of battle are now almost completely gone, though. The commander takes you to some doors, grumbles a little. Another Duergar quickly comes up to him. This woman says something in his ear, and he nods, saying, Yes, I suppose his priest would have vanished without a trace. He turns to the pair of you. If you ever see an errant Duergar, feel free to slay him. He is no longer one of us. The prince seems like he's managed to escape. He'll be somewhere, I'm sure, but just in case he does manage to get out, feel free to kill him with no repercussions.
Noted, I say, and I smile.
He pushes open these large double doors in front of you. You are led through a large pair of double doors into a great chamber. There appears to be no other entrances or exits, however. A brazier of glowing hot coals stand in each corner. In the middle of this room is a low stone table, on the top of which is drawn an illustration that looks something like a map. The commander moves to just watch you from the entrance, saying, Very well, the Queen has allowed you to poke around a little, and then you will leave.
Yes, we shall. I begin looking around, trying to see if I can find anything of use, any documents, for example, detailing plans, or anything of interest, really. I'm just wondering, though, can I even read their script? I'm not fluent in Dwarvish or whatever they speak here. What's it called?
Undercommon.
Undercommon. Would I be able to read that?
Not without any magical aid. But you can, of course, search the room. What do you do, Roshik? Are you also searching, or do you let Roman take the lead here?
Well, first thing that struck me is any clue that, I don't know, some sort of description. What could What could a being made out of this be sensitive to? Or maybe there's some kind of rod, something deactivating it, something weakening it, something they would have in order to use it. And so I'm starting to look for items.
Very well, both of you can roll a perception check.
11.
4.
Roshik, you begin excitedly looking around the room. But it's extremely sparse when you actually start looking. Like, there's nothing really here. Some tables, a desk of some kind. You begin looking through drawers, but again, there's just stuff written in languages you don't understand. You're getting quite frustrated. Roman, you're looking around. Again, you're quite agitated, thinking to yourself, how long do we need to be here? But you do notice that on this table there is a large map. When you go and look at the map, it is a map of the 10 towns. There are no names, or rather, if there are names, they're written in some scribble, but you recognize the map. And you see a few things. First of all, there is a small, little mobile model of a winged being, sort of set at the front end of this table. There's some sort of mechanism in place here. You start looking around and notice at the bottom of the table is a small steel lever. What do you do?
A lever? I suppose I flip it. It cannot be dangerous if it is in his quarters.
You flip the lever, and the mechanical little flying model begins to move. You now notice it started in the mountains, but it begins to move to... There's no denying it, that must be Dugan's Hole. Yes, from Dugan's Hole to Goodmead, to Goodmead to East Haven, and then from East Haven it goes round every single town before choosing the capital, Bryn Shander, as the last destination.
This is the path that it must be taking. See, Roshik? Dugan's Hall, Goodmead, and then East Haven. Perhaps this gives us a chance to get back to East Haven before this happens. We should go there first, and if it turns out that it hasn't arrived yet, perhaps we can even go to Goodmead, try to warn them as well.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, that's probably what it's that's probably it.
Alright. Well, I do another quick look around just to see if there's anything that might be of aid to us. But if not, I will take this as our key to leave.
You can roll one more perception check.
20.
You do, just before leaving, notice that there are some sort of candle sconces coming out from one of the walls. One of them does look a little bit out of place. Maybe that does something? Of course, at the same time, you are concerned about the time, so...
I am, but he is a king after all, and this was quite valuable, what we just found. I moved to touch this candle. Perhaps it will open up a secret compartment of sorts.
As he does that, I'm already on my way out, throwing some useless scrolls on the floor.
As Roshik leaves the room, you pull the candlestick, and in the north part of the room, 2 doors begin to open. You hadn't even noticed they were there, but they do seem to lead to another chamber.
Roshik, there's more.
What? I come back in.
And I nod towards it. It's some kind of secret compartment. We best be careful. You never know what hides in secret compartments, right? I say, and I smile.
I hold my hands together and I conjure forth a spear.
And I begin moving forward.
As you find yourself in another room, which contains a large stone bed covered with soot-stained furs. In a shallow niche just above this bed is a relief of a giant scowling Duergar clenching its teeth. At the foot of the bed is an iron chest with a sturdy-looking padlock on it. The room also, to the west, has a great deal of shelves containing items.
I look at the items on the shelves. Anything that looks like it's a weapon, or anything that, might make us more capable.
there are none. Largely, it seems there are skulls. They're skulls of a very strange shape.
I move up to one to look at them. What kind of skull is this? What kind of being?
Please roll me an Arcana check.
7.
You have no idea. It's weird. It's like humanoid, but there's an element to it that the head is very big. Very big, like the back where, the brain would be is just massive, and the front doesn't look like it has a mouth. There's no bones for the mouth. It's a very strange looking skull. You've never seen anything like it. There's 7 or 8 of them.
That is strange. Well, no matter. All kinds of beasts in the Underdark, I'm sure.
There's also a statue of it looks like a Duergar. She's not wearing any clothing. Just sort of has a spiked crown atop her bald head. Just sitting there on something.
I move up to look at it. Is the crown made of charlatan, or is it some other metal?
Yes, the statue is carved from charlatan.
I can see how he had gone so far. It was everywhere around him. He was bathing in it from morning until night.
Where does it come from? Is it something that they mine?
What do I know of charlatan, again? Remind me.
You know it is an element, a magical element. It does not grow in the ground. However, in Icewind Dale, something happened a long time ago where a great deal of it was collected all at once and then scattered all across the Dale, meaning there are now many, many deposits above ground, just bits left.
Right. There was some kind of calamity in the past. Someone must have collected it, and then yes, it was spread out all over the place, and well, now it's finding its way into all kinds of people's hands and corrupting them and bringing pain and suffering. No, I move back from it. If it's only charlatan, then I want none of it. I don't want it corrupting me as it did the king.
Certainly. If you wish, though, you can roll a religion check.
I shall. 5.
Yes, you have no interest in this item. You don't care what it is. I mean, a Duergar looks like a Duergar. Could mean anything. It's interesting that it was placed on what almost looks like a little shrine, but you have no interest. Roshik, what are you doing? You've seen everything Roman has?
Well, I look over at him, looking at the statue as well, and drawing the same conclusion that it's made of that material that we should stay away from. It didn't seem very healthy to the king, so why should it be to us, even though it is pretty? And I pick up one of these skulls that Roman was looking at, and I put it in my knapsack.
Certainly, it fits in quite snugly. Is that all? There was also a chest by the bed, but you do see it has a very, very good-looking lock on it.
I'll go and see if I can open that up somehow.
Well, you look it over. It's an extremely sturdy iron chest. Other than, of course, picking the lock, the only other way of opening it would be to start smashing it into pieces. But again, it's solid iron, so it's actually going to be quite difficult, you think to yourself.
And he didn't have a key on him, not that we saw. And we didn't find one before either. Be a fool to hide one in here, but I still have a little look around. Can we bring it with us somehow, or is it it's a pretty big thing, I guess?
It's a big chest. I mean, you can bring it with you, but will it fit on the axe beak?
Well, I still have a little look around as if by any chance he would have left a key somewhere near. Why would he?
You are correct. There are no keys to be found, but near the bedside you do see a few small little items. A very nice, completely useless, but nice-looking dagger. A couple of little trinkets. Maybe if you took them with you, you could sell them for gold.
Yeah, I'll do that. I don't have anything at this point. I was brought here with just the rags on my body.
In that case, let us say you now own a nice, perfectly normal, jeweled dagger, and a perfectly nice looking sort of comb of some kind, perhaps for brushing of the beard.
Not bad. I don't have access to a barber now. I suppose I could use this, or sell it.
Very well, Roman. It seems as if Roshik has helped himself to a few items, but perhaps this is all you're going to get. But you have a plan in your mind. You're already thinking. The first target. It could have already got there by now. The distance surely would not be that long for a great beast. It is also not that far to Goodmead either from there. East Haven's a little further. So that seems to be the third location. Maybe you're right to head there first. You don't know if there's anything you can do for the first place.
And if we head to Goodmead and then find that the place has been, well, already destroyed, then we might not be able to do anything for East Haven, and my heart is in East Haven, I think. And Kaliana's face flashes before my eyes. Yes, I must protect East Haven. That is where my duty lies. I again look at this chest with a sort of irritated look on my face, and thinking that, of course, the radiant damage that Lathander can help me deal would not help melt a lock such as that, no?
Unfortunately not. This is a lock where you need a locksmith or a lot of patience. You don't think you have the patience to break it now?
No, I don't. I have more important things to do. All right, Roshik. I think we have what we came for. We know where it's heading. We know that we have, hopefully, a chance to stop it before it reaches East Haven. Or at least reach East Haven before it does.
Yeah, sure, and some trinkets at that. Let's move on out then.
The commander grunts in irritation at your very presence, but lets you go past. He calls to some other Duergar, and from the shadows they appear suddenly. And they begin just gently ushering you to the exit. Once you're at the exit, this commander looks at you. And now, our queen's word has been delivered. Farewell. If we see each other again, I will kill you both. No hard feelings.
We won't. I smile. May Lathander be with you. And I move away.
He spits on the ground at the mention of your god's name. And you hear the clanking of metal as that portcullis begins to come down and the entrance itself slowly begins to grind shut. And once again, you are out on the mountainside in the cold, in front of this fortress.
Well, at least she held her word.
That she did. Yes. They're better off with her in charge, I'm sure. I think we did good here, but I'm not sure. I think it's probably all relative. And, well, yeah, I suppose we begin heading for our axe peaks. They're still out here, right?
They are indeed. You find them. They have not moved from where you safely put them away. And once you're upon them, you begin making your way back down the mountain pass. The going's a little trickier than it was when coming up, because of course now there's a lot more snow. But luckily, it's not too hard for the creatures to get through. You begin trying to make your way down as quickly as you can, and finally, once more, you are back down on the mainland, with the mountain pass behind you. And it is then that you see some movement from ahead. Someone is coming. Someone with multiple dog sleds.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden, for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The music was created by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Ugathanye, Word Clock, and Metatron Omega, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check them out at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, and David Hagberg for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. May Lathander protect you and fill the world with light.